There, guys, another video from yours truly. Okay, that was terrible. Never doing the finger guns again. That was the only time. Very important topic. I say that a lot, very important topics, but I feel like this one is very important, and it's one that personally I've struggled with in the past. I've actually been struggling with a little bit lately, and it's one I really want to talk about. But first, and most important, look what I got. I don't know if you can see that. Is it? I don't know how to. Anyway, I got a new headset because the one I had was kind of screwed up, to be honest with you, and I am fucking excited about it. Get here. Give me it. I'm sure you're looking at it and you're like, but Marmain, that's just a little stupid little boo-boo, boo-boo, ba-bow. Huh? I'm sure you're looking at it and you're like, but Marmain, that's just a stupid little $50 headset. Well, it is. But man, is it comfortable. Oh my God. I love this. Compared to what I was using before. Wait just one second. This was what I was using before. Compared to that shit, I think I'm doing pretty good. Either way, scene change. Alright. Today we're here to talk about motivation. Motivation is a big factor in most people's daily lives. It's really, to me, it's vital. And I've said that about a few things, but motivation is really important. It's like with actors and whatnot. They're like, find what's my motivation. But the reality is motivation and being energetic and being able to find purpose and be able to sort of push yourself to do what you need to do. It is hard, and I've struggled with this at various points in times. I mean, everybody has days where they're just like, look, man, I'm alive today. That's good job, me. I'm alive today, and I'm moving. And life is about more than that. It's difficult when we start talking about, what drives us to grow. I think motivation is really important, and it's something that's overlooked. And what I mean is that I feel like as a society we push people to do things. We push people to excel and to grow and to you got to do great at your job. You got to be a great parent. You got to be a great father, whatever. You got to be a great partner, right? You got to be a great this and that. But I don't think people stop to look at what is driving them towards that. Because if you tell someone, for example, that their value as a person is how successful they are, but they're not motivated to be successful, they don't have these things in their lives driving them, it becomes difficult for them to obtain that goal. And for me, for a long time, I had a lot of motivation because a lot of people I felt like had doubts in my ability to do things or to grow or succeed. And so that kind of motivated me even more to grow and succeed. It's not a good thing, but it's just how it worked out for me. People who are highly motivated do better than those who aren't. And even if you have a bad source of motivation, if your motivation to succeed and to grow and to make things happen is derived from a place where people underestimate you and make you feel small, it's better to have that motivate you than nothing at all. It kind of put a chip on my shoulder, which is bad, but it also motivated me to not settle for mediocrity. And even to this day, I feel this need and desire to not just become complacent and stuck where I'm at in life. And it can be bad if it's chronic, but you have to be that way somewhat. I mean, if you're content with where you are, you'll have no reason to change anything. You'll have no reason to grow beyond that. And then when you do, it's probably going to cause you a lot of stress because you were content where you were and now you're not content anymore. And that's why I think motivation is so important. And I can see how people who are motivated or people who, really put the time in get somewhere. Now, there are other hurdles, but motivation is one of them that I feel like, at least with, and I'm going to sound like an old man here, at least with the generation of people I grew up with, motivation is not very common. 1 second. 1 second, please. And that's something that that personally I feel like really isn't focused on enough. We focus so much as a society and as individuals on what are we going to do? Who are we going to be? How successful are we going to be? Oh, how much money are we going to make? How many things are we going to have? Women, how many women are we going to have? Whatever, right? But it's kind of like the part focusing on where you want to be is great, but it's not a great motivator. It's a terrible one. Because what happens when you hyper focus on a point, especially if it's super far away, is a lot of people get dejected. They don't feel like they're making enough progress towards the goal fast enough. And so a goal or a dream that might have been possible for them becomes impossible because they don't have the motivation. They see the immenseness of the task. They see all the obstacles. They see this giant task. And while that you would think that's a good thing, having a vision, in that scenario, it could be stifling, intimidating, and all around just debilitating in a way. You can be, I mean, even when people become successful, and we know this as well, people can become crushed by their greatness if the foundation for that greatness isn't stable. If you don't have solid, consistent motivators and things to kind of keep you grounded, right? Then you're going to end up in this position where you just feel like you're all pulled all over the place and you don't have enough energy to keep up with everything. And I feel like that's something that's really overlooked. That's something that people don't think about. Like when someone's struggling, we tend to associate that with something's wrong with them in the sense that I just don't understand why they can't keep it together. You know what I mean? What's going on? Why are they not keeping it together? And I think somewhat it is the person's responsibility to be able to deal with their problems. That's how I feel, to be honest. But at the same time, it's like it's why it's so important to have solid motivators, things that are going to help you sort of make it through the day. My dad once told me something, and it was probably one of the biggest and most, not the biggest, but in recent memory, it was one of the most profound things that another person has told me. And it really gave me a sense of perspective on my life that I hadn't really had before and really thought about. And it was kind of harsh in a way, but it was honest. And from what I've seen as time's gone on, I mean it's rung true. My dad, I remember I was in college and I was working 3 jobs or 2 jobs. I think it was two. It might have been 3 jobs at the time. I was in school and working 3 jobs. I was at Augusta University in Augusta, which nobody knows. It's in Augusta, Georgia. It was, I think, Regents University then, but it might have changed to Augusta. I can't remember. So it was Augusta University, right? One. I was going there. I think I had 3 or 4 classes. I was working at Walgreens, right? Where I'd do 7 overnight shifts in a row. So I'd do seven 10-hour days. Then I'd be off 7 days because of how the week split worked out. I'd work 40 hours and 30 hours. That'd be my 2 weeks, and I'd be off 7 days. Keep in mind, I was walking to work because I didn't have a car at this time. So I was doing school and that. Then, on some days a week, there was a laundromat called Lucy's Laundry in Augusta. It's on Washington Road. I would work, I'd pick up, I don't know, 3 or 4 shifts a week there. Maybe 2 or 3. I don't really know. I also did maintenance sometimes there, but that's irrelevant. Like, I was working probably between 20 and 30 hours a week at that laundromat, while also working 30 to 40 hours at Walgreens. Then I also had another gig. I would work overnight on the weekends, where I would work when I wasn't working at Walgreens. I would work on the weekends. I would work, I think it was like 9 to 2, 10 to 2. It was some overnight job. I remember that. It was late. I liked it because they gave me a truck I could drive around. I was doing a cleaning service. A friend of mine at the laundromat got me with. Long story short, we're getting into the weeds. I was doing all this at one time, and I was stressing beyond belief. And I told my dad, I told him flat out, I said, like, I just don't. I asked him. I was broken down. I was about to cry. I was so tired, so exhausted. He agreed to give me a ride to school one day to the college. And I turned to him and I asked him at that moment, like, I said, I'm just struggling so hard. Does it ever get any easier? Now he had told me before that I was going to burn myself out or whatever, but okay. But he told me this profound thing, and then he was honest with me about it. He said, "No, no, it doesn't get any easier." I was like, "What? What do you mean? You got to think about it. You're breaking down. You're stressed out. You're working all the time. You're so tired. You don't know when you last slept. I had double Wednesdays or Wednesday. I was sometimes where I would stay up sometimes for 24 or 48 hours at a time, right? Where I wouldn't sleep for a day for 24 or 30, 36 or whatever, 32 hours, whatever, day and a half, 36 hours. It was a lot. And I tell this man I'm struggling, and he says, and I said, does it ever end? Does it ever get any easier? And he goes, no. I'm like, he says, it doesn't get any easier. In fact, it gets harder. It gets harder. But that's what makes it important to find things that make it worth it. You find things that make it worth it. Now, that's pretty profound because you think about it. You're struggling and whatnot, and someone tells you, no, it doesn't get any easier. But you find things that make it worth it. And that, to me, was something that I thought about. This was 3 years ago now. I've thought about that every week, probably since he told me it, because it was such a profound idea. Because it's the truth, Life is hard, and it's probably always going to be. I don't believe in the idea that life is easy for some people and easier for some people and harder than others. At least not to the level of like, there are people out there that are just lottie-dottie-dottie through their day while I'm struggling and killing myself. Like, no. I think while, yes, like the financial side of things, in terms of like purpose, meaning, right? Relationships, whether it be a marriage or children or whatever, those are always hard. It doesn't matter how successful you are or how much money you have. Marriages are hard. Relationships are difficult. Having children is difficult. To raise them to be good people is hard. And I don't think that changes for anybody. Like I don't think it was easier, for example, for just take Joe. I don't think it was easier for Joe Biden to raise his kids than it would be for me to. I think it's hard just to have kids and raise them in general. That's kind of just how it is. And so that's kind of the one constant. But, these struggles and whatnot we go through, what we have driving us is what matters. I always say this thing because it's something to me that I hold near and dear, right? And it's kind of cheesy in a way, but it really rings true when you think about it. You haven't wasted any time or any energy on something until you quit. Think about that. As long as you're invested in it and you stay invested into it, you don't really lose until you quit. That's when you lose. If you're investing, for example, your time in YouTube and you do it for a month and you quit, well, yeah, now you just wasted a month, supposedly. I mean, maybe you had fun, maybe you didn't. If it was that. But generally speaking, like if you wanted to do it regularly and you quit because you just it's not gaining the traction you want or you don't think you can hack it, well, yeah, now you wasted your time. And I don't blame people for that, but that's that to me like is like for me I've learned through my life that sticking with things is important, especially if they're important to you. Stick with the things that are important to you because they make the struggle and the grind worth it at the end of the day. You know, motivators are important. Having things that drive you in your life, whether it be your family or your friends or kids or something you love to do, is absolutely vital. Always make sure that you have things in your life that motivate you, that make life worth it, that make experiences. And this is why, like, I'm very big about filling my life up with experiences. And I made a video about this years ago. Live your life, love, go do stuff because those things, those experiences you have, may be meaningless, may not have any value in terms of your career or how you grow as a person or whatever. But I guarantee you, when it gets dark and you're upset, those memories are going to keep you going. You're going to look and be like, wow, I did that. For me, college was hard because I was working the whole time. And my old boss told me this one time, you know, you're gonna look at it one day. I felt like I was wasting my time, but I was like, I could have been a plumber or whatever. And he was like, no, get the degree. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, when you look at that diploma on the wall, right, and you look at it, it's going to motivate you later. And what I mean is that accomplishment, that experience, you went out and did that. You went out there and spent 4.5 years of your life getting this diploma, and you made it through work, through family stuff, through moving from Atlanta to Augusta, you're going to look at that. You're going to have that for the rest of your life to look at and be like, I did that thing. I'm motivated to grow. This motivates me. And I'm not saying you should like toot your horn about all your accolades, but I'm not going to flex on people and be like, yeah, I went to college. Oh yeah, look at me. I've got a degree. But from me to me, like I'm going to tell me like, bro, you went to college. You figured all your financial aid shit out on your own. And you worked a job while you were in college. And you finished college working 3 jobs. Right? You've managed before you've got this, man. Like you are able to do things because if you stick with it, you go places. And I've never missed a mark that I set because I never gave up on it until I reached where I wanted to go. And there's nothing wrong with giving up. There's nothing wrong with reaching a point and realizing maybe you're just not going to do it. But don't let your doubts become the reason why you don't succeed. Sometimes things just don't work out. Like relationships, for example. If a relationship ends, that's terrible, and you want to feel bad about it. And you want to grow as a person, but you do not. It's not good to say, oh man, I should have tried harder. Oh man, if I just tried harder, if I never say that because I always do it. I always try harder. I always put in the effort. And if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. I don't have any regrets about that point. I'm sad, I might be disappointed, but I don't have regrets about what I was doing. I got a little wavy on the topic here, so let's go ahead and wrap it in here and put a nice little bow on it. Motivation is super important. It is vital to growing and staying consistent as a person. Motivation is part of the reason I made this channel, because I really wanted to spread motivation and these good feelings and vibes to other people, because I know if I'm struggling to stay motivated, there's other people out there that are struggling to stay motivated. And maybe somebody watches one of these videos and sees a goofball guy on here trying his ass off on YouTube to make something, and that inspires them to go out and do something on their own. And for me, that's brilliant. You know, for me, that's what I live for. That for me, when someone tells me, and it's happened before, when someone tells me, when they come up and tell me, man, like, I appreciate you being there, it's made a difference in my life, or thanks for what you said, I started thinking about it and you're right. It doesn't have to be everybody. Just knowing that I'm a good influence for people, that I'm helping motivate people, means everything to me, because I know how important that is. I know how important it is to be motivated and have people who care. And I just want everybody on here to know that if you're watching this, I believe in you, and I believe that if you want to do it, you can. I believe you can do it. Whatever it is, if you stick with it and you're consistent about it and you're serious about it, you'll get somewhere eventually. Look at this channel. I'm not really going anywhere, but I'm getting better every day. And that's important. It's because I'm motivated to do so. Getting better every day is important to me. So always, always, always take care of the people that are important to you. Keep yourself motivated and strong and focused. And please, have a good day, man. You know, go out and do something new. Find things that make you happy and then pursue those things.